Sup, this is the complete series of Burst Angel. As you can see, there's Meg, Joe, and Django. Now, Burst Angel is actually produced and created by both Gonzo and Funimation. Now, with that being out the way, I just thought I'd let you know a little bit about me. Whenever I get an anime box set for the first time, I actually watch it completely from the very first episode all the way to the last episode. All in one go. That's just how I am. I've always been like that. Don't know why, it's just a habit of mine. Now, whenever I rewatch an anime box set, I just, I'll watch like a couple episodes. Or if there's a specific episode I want to see, I'll just look for the disc, pop it in, find the episode, and watch it again. But I don't know, when I watch an anime box set for the first time, I guess I want to get the whole feel of the whole anime as a whole. I guess I'm just guessing because, like I said, it's a habit of mine. I never really could explain why. But anyway, Burst Angel. Now, Burst Angel, the setting is kind of like a apocalyptic, your cliche apocalyptic type world where the law of the gun is pretty much free, up for grabs. It's free for all type deal. If you have a gun and you want to use it, you can go ahead and use it. It's like every man for himself, every man or woman, sort of say. But I'm not trying to say the setting is lawless. They do have police forces that also use guns, but it's sort of like one of those situations, shoot first, ask questions later type setting. It's very apocalyptic, and it's not war-torn type city. Like, there are some cities where it's like, oh, an actual city, but it has some reference of apocalyptic type scenario. Now, with that being said, the art style of the landscape of the whole setting is real nice. I will admit, it's not bad. It's not something to go crazy for, but the actual setting, it's not bad. Oh, just to give you guys a heads up, there are some CGI art style within this anime. Now, I used to be one of those people where it's like, I hate when people add like computer art or CGI in an anime because it feels out of place. But it really depends on how it's used. If it's used right, then it's fine. Perfect example would be Samurai 7. They have CGI elements and robot in that anime, but it seems so well and flawless that it's everything smooth with the anime. It don't stick out as an eyesore. Then there are some that are bad, like Blassreiter. Man, that I can only watch about 4 episodes of Blassreiter before I was like, I can't watch this shit. So yeah, Blassreiter is a perfect example for when CGI is used bad, where it's like it's not more than just an eyesore. It's just piece of shit. It's crap. Now, however, in Burst Angel, the CGI element is average. It's not great, but at the same time, it's not the worst. It's actually in between the line. It's like they trying to keep everything streamlined and not be too drastic or too crazy, but at the same time not too full of themselves, so to speak. Now, as for the characters, yeah, this is where alright, I've watched a lot of animes. I got a handful of box sets myself, and I even got a lot of anime movies, and some of them are series and whatnot. I read a lot of mangas. I play a lot of games. Basically, the point is, it's like, alright, Burst Angel was copywritten in 2003. Now, I don't care what anybody says about, oh, this anime came out first, or this or that, or how could this one copy this, or how could this one copy that. I can understand where those arguments come from, but you also got to understand, when it comes to watching anime, a lot of people don't watch them in that numerical order. They watch them in the numerical order as they remember watching it. So with that being said, even though yes, Burst Angel came out in 2003, I don't know what month, but sometime in 2003, that doesn't mean I saw this anime back in 2003. I just recently saw this anime, I would say about last year. I only watched this anime box set once, and I will get into the reason why eventually in this video. So with that being said, because of that, I've watched, like I already mentioned, I watched a lot of animes, and some of the stuff that happened in those animes I see recognizable in this anime. I'm not trying to say it ripping off other animes. I mean, like I said, this came out in 2003. I don't know about the other anime when they came out, but I'm not saying it was ripping off. It might have been paying homage, or it just followed the whole cliche nature of being the action genre anime it is. Which, you know, I can understand, you know, in this type of genre where you're trying to make it like sci-fi-ish action with a touch of somewhat comedy, I can understand where the cliches and stuff come from. You know, if it's been done before and it's not broken, why try to fix the type of scenario? But anyway, you know what? Best way for me to describe it is how it started off. The way this anime started off was great. I actually enjoyed the very first 2 or 3 episodes of this anime because, whoa, sorry about that. Because here's how it started off as. You follow this kid who is basically a culinary student. His dream is to actually be a pastry chef, if my memory serves me correct, but he wants to be a pastry chef, but at the same time he wants to be well versed in every different styles of cooking. Now he goes to this school where, you know, he has a friend and he has a teacher who seem to always try to give him good advice or how to, you know, have more of a, what's the word, confidence or something like that. Basically more of experience as being a culinary chef. Now, with that being said, he has to take odd jobs that sort of, you know, help not only financially pay him, but also give him more of a taste, a feel of, you know, being in the culinary world, basically. So, we follow him around. His name is Kyohei, by the way. We follow him around, and then we see how he has his first interaction, so to speak, with Joe. And like I mentioned, that's Meg, this is Joe, and Django. But he first meets Meg in an alley because there was a traffic and he was basically delivering food and he don't want to be late. It's one of those deliveries where it's like they have a specific time frame where they have to have the food delivered. So he goes into an alley only to witness Joe killing somebody. He got freaked out to the point where he actually quit that job. And he ends up going back to school, back into the announcement board to see if there's any other job opening available. At first he was going to give up, but thanks to the encouragement of both his friend and teacher, he found another job, which just so happened to be, well, it sounded to him like it was a restaurant, like they really needed a chef. And he was like, you know what, I'll go for it. Only to end up finding out that he's going to end up being the cook for a mercenary group, which just so happened to be the group that Joe happened to be a part of. So, like I said, the very first 2 or 3 episodes of this anime started off great, because already I got invested with Kyohei because I kind of felt bad for the kid, you know, and the fact that he already ended up in a mercenary group full of females, by the way, and he's kind of like an adolescent boy, so it's kind of like, you know, there is some comedy in there too. And not only that, but because he is seen or to be associated with them, because they just hired the guy, he didn't really fully take the job yet. He didn't say, yeah, okay, I'll work for you guys. No, it was more like a tour, so to speak. Immediately his life is thrown in danger because of his interaction with this mercenary group, and that's when you just start seeing from there what specialty these mercenary individuals have. Now, they have the cliche mercenary group where You have the leading boss who has connections, kind of militant, very smart, but is more like a leadership figure. Then you have the brainy surveillance hacker type character that takes care of all the electronics and gizmos of the mercenary group. Then you have the silent but deadly killing machine who basically have an interest for horror movie, but that's not cliche, that's kind of like her personal taste, which I thought was kind of different for one. But yeah, silent but deadly killing machine. And then you have what I would call the weakest link. The weakest link in this anime just so happens to be the damsel in distress. Yes, the damsel in distress in a mercenary group. I guess they thought it'd be funny or sort of try to put the homegrown feel of the mercenary group. Granted, the way they introduced this girl, I don't want to tell you guys who's who because that will kind of ruin, the factor of this anime. But yeah, the way they first introduced her, she was kind of like a stuck-up, kind of hard-nosed. But then eventually you quickly discovered, oh crap, she's the damsel in distress. Man. And she's the kind of damsel in distress where, say you're in a mercenary group yourself, and you are told you have to be partnered up with this person. And it gotta be a stealth mission. Can't be seen, can't be caught, whatever, so forth. You're infiltrating this building, and all you're doing is just taking pictures, trying to see if some stuff go down, whatnot. That person, the damsel in distress one, is the one that gets caught. But prior or while getting caught, she turns in the direction where you're located at and screams your name and practically blows up your spot screaming for help. Yeah, that kind of damsel in distress. Always seem to put others in danger or at risk into rescuing her. She do have some episodes where it's like, well, I can only think of one, but where you can sort of say she was meant to be in the team for comedy reasons. But other than that, damsel in distress, the weakest link. But anyway, those are practically your mercenary group. And they were basically looking for a chef because even though they do all these crazy missions where they're constantly, where the killing machine is constantly putting her life on the line while others try to strategize and surveillance and, basically make sure the mission goes out smoothly, they need food, they need to eat. And like I said, I felt bad for Kyoe because immediately you sort of see like, holy crap, what the hell did I just get myself into? And like I said, I thought that was a great way to start it off because already you're connecting with characters and already you see how things balance out. But then you start watching the rest of the episodes and this is where I sort of have problem. See, Kyoe, in the first 2 or 3 episodes, like I said, it seemed like this anime was going to evolve around him. A student who's trying to live a easy, good life, and all he wants to do is just learn about food and how to be probably one of the best chefs ever. Only to wind up in a mercenary group where he's constantly in danger or in a situation where he's like, why? Just why? Why me? All of a sudden, this character becomes a background character. He became useless, pointless to the plot, all those things, which that's where I sort of had a problem with because they started off great, they had a great potential, then they started dropping the ball as episodes keep going on. I mean, literally, he became a background character, and I did not like that. Then they try to, they started doing a lot of episodes, which to me, in my opinion, they all felt like filler. But in an anime series, you'll have that, some filler episodes to sort of build up the final finale and stuff like that. And some episodes were okay to watch. Then there are some where it's like you really don't care for, really. And then, you started noticing that they're trying to reference a lot towards the killing machine. And then you're like, oh, okay. I mean, they do sort of explain somewhat how each character are, like, in their story arc, but not really. It's more like those things where it's like you already know due to the fact of the cliche characteristic that they already portrayed in the anime. Next, this is where I have another problem with. Close to the end of the anime series, remember how I already mentioned about each of the episodes kind of felt like fillers and stuff like that? Which, it's okay in the series because, like I said, there's a build-up you gotta work up for, throw in a couple of little this and a little bit of that, and then finally hit the major story arc. Close to the near final episodes, the creators literally want you to believe that all those fillers, all those episodes actually has a meaning, or they were not fillers. Basically, they all compiled together like, oh, it was all part of a plot. What? No, it didn't work for me. I was like, what the hell is that? I mean, they literally try to make you feel like the creature in the not the first episode, I want to say the second or maybe third that they introduced, actually has a continuity with the last episode, and so on and so forth with all the other episodes. They basically try to make all of them have a continuity and reason to be part of the last episode, which, in my opinion, did not work. And also, it made me literally feel like they are treating me as a viewer like an idiot. Like, oh, you didn't think of that? Well, this is how it's supposed to be, stupid. It's like that type of feeling I had. Now, by the way, all this is my experience and my opinion with the anime. I'm not, trying to throw people off here, but again, this is my opinion and experience. So, yeah, to me, that didn't work. I didn't really like that because it literally tried to make you feel like you're dumb, like the whole time you were watching the episodes, you had your brain shut off and they had to tell you, point things out for you. But if you're a logical thinking person, or you just always watch a lot of animes like myself, and you just see things, I mean, like I said, if they could have just went the route where, all of a sudden they hit you with a major story arc, which they kind of did, like they were trying to, but the potential was not there. It felt like, stuff, it's like the cliche thing where you're like, oh, I've seen that already in this anime or that anime. That's how it felt like to me. Like they were taking things off from other animes. Now, once again, I understand this came out in 2003, but again, this is by my experience from the animes I've seen before I've seen this anime. And I'm not trying to say it's a ripoff. I mean, who knows? Maybe those animes got those ideas off of this anime. But either way, it really, they try to make everything sort of tie in like they had a connection when they didn't. I mean, you can full point literally go, no. Another problem I had with this anime is that some of the episodes are just repeats from the last episode that you just watched. Here's what I mean. Now, we all know the cliche of animes where sometimes they'll give you like a heads up on, okay, here's what happened in the last episode, and yada yada type deal. There are some episodes that literally revamp the episode you just watched just to fill up the gap, just to make it fit the time limit. Like, you'll just be like, dude, why are you repeating the same thing I just watched? And that hurts this anime, in my opinion. It's like, it feels like the creators or the people who wrote it or whatever started getting lazy or running out of ideas, that they had to re-show what they already showed, which was literally the last episode, And not only that, it's not like they give you a brief scenario from the last episode or earlier episode. They show almost the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. And again, oh yeah, remember that damsel in distress? This is how they ended the episode. They wanted you to believe that the damsel in distress is now the new badass. But throughout the entire series, the damsel in distress has been nothing but an annoying damsel in distress. Has some comedy moment. One that I could think of. I want to say I could think of another one, but I can't right now. But other than that, throughout the whole entire series, she's been nothing but a damsel in distress and an annoying one. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the series, how they want to end it, they want you to believe that, oh, she is now a new badass. She is no longer the damsel in distress. She knows how to do all these things all along. Ha ha ha. No. Sorry. No. So overall, my whole experience with Burst Angel, I'm sorry, I really didn't enjoy this. I mean, I watched this once, and I'm surprised I still remember. I mean, every time I see this box set in my collection, it's like, I just be like, because they started out with something that was different, and it felt like, oh wow, it's like a fresher breath air in this type of genre of anime. And I literally felt they had great potential if they stuck with Kyohei instead of making him all of a sudden turn him into a background character. That's where I think is where they started dropping the ball. Then they completely dropped the whole potential and everything, where literally I got bored. Yet I still kept on watching. But like I mentioned in the beginning, I don't know why, but when I first get anime box set, I just gotta watch it completely from the very first episode all the way to the last episode, one go, non-stop. That's just how I am. So imagine, for me, it was like, in a way, I was suffering from boredom of anime, and the sad thing is, I'm trying to watch anime to escape from boredom, only to get more bored with it. It just, the characterization were cliched, which again, I don't want to fault it, because I can name a plethora of anime that follow the same cliche characteristics, but at least some of them try to add a little something to make it their own. This one, it was like drab. The only thing I will give it credit though is the killing machine at least has somewhat of a personality, where you see like, oh okay, she's into horror movies. At least you see a little something where it's like her personality, which I'll give them credit to that. But other than that, everybody was sort of cliche. The story arcs were nothing new or surprising. You've seen them all before. You've seen it done before. The way they try to rehash earlier episodes, the majority of the earlier episode into the next episode, it's like, yeah, that hurt it a lot. It felt, throughout this whole anime experience, it felt like the creators or the writers were literally running out of ideas or out of things to do, but because they were under contract about how many episodes they have in the series, they had to stretch a bit, you know what I mean? And that stretching hurt them a lot, in my opinion. Which again, by the way, this is my opinion, this is my experience. It may be different for you, but this is how I felt for this Burst Angel. And I understand there are some people out there who are a fan of this anime, and there are some that said, hey, this one introduced me to the world of anime, which, okay, but overall, the anime was average but boring. I would say, if you can definitely pass on this. You're not missing out on anything. You're not missing anything like a major hoopla. I mean, even Django, I mean, they literally made Django exactly what he is, a robot. No personality, no source or reason, and they never explain how the killing machine has the ability to link up with Django. But yet in the last episode, they sort of try to make it seem like, oh, Django could link up with anybody on the, and it's just, it never explained that, because throughout the whole series, the killing machine, whenever she gets highly emotional. It affects Django's fighting performance, so to speak, and they never explained why or how. I mean, they did explain a lot about the Killing Machine's past, but it has nothing to do with the link between her and Django. So Django was literally a generic robot that just waiting to be used. That's it. Well, again, that's just how I feel. I mean, this anime is average but boring. I am not gonna watch this again. I mean, I can now honestly see, because I didn't buy this anime. This was actually given to me from a friend, and he even said himself when he started watching it, he didn't like it already. He was like, it was boring. He didn't feel nothing. He wasn't connected with anything, and I was like, oh well, maybe it's one of those anime that it gets better as it progresses. And he was like, no. He never watched the rest of it, and then one day he was like, if you want it, you can have it. And I was like, nah, man, you ain't even give it a chance. He's like, no, you don't understand. If you want it, you can have it. And I'm like, but what's wrong with it? Again, if you want it, you can have it. Basically telling me, please. It's more like a desperate plea to take it away. So I took it, and I watched it, giving it a chance, thinking, you know what? Maybe he's missing out on something. Maybe, there's actual potential in this anime that he's not is not willing to witness. Well, if you're watching, by the way, you are right. This is it's boring. It's a piece of crap. It's shite, all that stuff. I mean, like I said, I've seen worse though. Now, because I've seen worse, I can literally say this anime is pretty much average but boring. But other than that, it's just it's passable, very passable. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but it's very passable. All right then, later.